This is the Stockwell Roche Show, giving you real-time information you need to make educated decisions about buying and selling in the world-renowned Twin Cities. Now your hosts and real estate experts, Jason Stockwell and Josh Roche.
Good morning, Minneapolis, St. Paul. I'm Jason Stockwell with RE/MAX Results.
And Dawn Eldridge with RE/MAX Results in for Josh Roche.
So you're listening to the Stockwell Roche Show every Sunday, 10 a.m. here on AM 1280 The Patriot. We have Jason Light with Envoy Mortgage with us today. How you doing, Jason?
Good morning. Doing well. Thank you.
Awesome. And we have Jill Ivanocek. Did I do that right? Ivanocek.
Correct.
She is the president and CEO of the Ronald McDonald House Charities in the Upper Midwest. Is that right? Welcome.
Thank you very much.
So very honored to have Jill with us, and we'll be talking in depth with her about her organization, and we've all heard of the Ronald McDonald House and what they do. And I'm actually excited because it's not something, it's been around a long time, but it's kind of off the radar. You know, it's just like, oh, never, you know, so it's good to have her here with us today, sharing with information about the Ronald McDonald House. First off, the market and what's happening in the Twin Cities. So, Jason, Light, Dawn Eldridge, some questions that I wanted to touch base with you about. For this year, for 2016, we talked about this last week, and we keep talking about it over and over again, that we're getting into a more normal market. I want to go over each of these individually. So folks out there that are listening, if you want to know what to expect for 2016, we'll go over that right now and what's going to happen. If you're thinking about, should I sell my house? Should I buy a house? Or you know someone or have a family friend or loved one that is thinking of buying or selling, or you're stuck in that rental, or your lease is coming up this spring and you're like, oh, they're going to jack me again. They're jacking my rent again. When is enough? When do I pull the trigger and actually buy? So here's what they're saying. Home prices will rise more slowly in most U.S. cities. I think we all agree on that, right, guys?
Absolutely.
For 2016.
Yes.
We've seen a tremendous growth through 12, 13, 14, and it's going to be a little slower, but yet still positive. Number two, the biggest home price gains will continue to be in the West. Again, California and things like that are going to have higher growth. We've seen bubble alerts out there. They keep saying, oh, there's a bubble, maybe there's not. We're in a much more stable area, folks, in the Twin Cities metro here, so something you do not have to worry about as much. And number three, this is Jason, question directed at you, is mortgage rates will rise later this year all through 2016. What do you think? Do you think they're going to continue to go up?
I think slow, steady, nothing too carried away. I mentioned it last week, election year. That's just my...
Oh, election year, yes. So it's not going to be anything to put a stop to the growth and the activity in the marketplace.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be stronger. Banks are lending more. We're seeing more secondary loans going up to 95% loan to value, where, you know, obviously we came down where you need more down payment. And this is just on top of a conventional loans. You know, banks are loosening up. That's just what that means is it's healthy, it's
You're
stable.
seeing banks loosen up on that? I thought they were tightening up again on buyers again. There seem to be more with the TRID and all that, but they're talking about they're loosening up and allowing more credit, more money out.
Yes. From a credit criteria, we're loosening up. Banks are loosening up. Overall, but there's little instances like FHA just last fall changed, their overall guidelines quite a bit with student loans. So you could argue things did tighten up, but in general, higher loan to values. We've got new Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac products coming out that are allowing border income or people that live in the house that are not going to be on the loan, but you can use their income. Just things are loosening up overall, and that's just, to me, an indicator that they are projecting a strong real estate market.
Yeah, and so that's a little, scary sometimes that they're loosening up. Is it because of the competitiveness of the lending industry that if some bank says, oh, they're doing it, let's loosen our guidelines so we allow it to, you know what I mean? Is that what you think it is? Because it seems like it's going down a repeating cycle if we loosen too much.
Let's be real clear. From a qualifying standpoint, this is not 10 years ago, where we're still approving you based on your income, based on how much income you've had in the past, what it's projected to be in the future, what you have for assets and reserves. So the
So
qualifying
it's
criteria
not
is there.
rewinding back to that.
Absolutely
bad. Okay.
not. There's no, I make $1 million a year as a plumber type. I mean, that's an exaggeration, but we are still absolutely credit and income approving. It's just when you do that, you're able to access more from a collateral standpoint. That'd be a good way of putting it.
Yes. So if you're calling and you are interested in getting a refinance, or you want to see where your current equity position is, or you are going to be buying a new home and you want to get an opinion, I would call Jason Light. Can you give your NMLS number and your phone number for everybody to reach you at?
So my license is 17256, and you can reach me at 612-419-4517.
419
612-419-4517.
4517. So even if you're already approved, call and get a second opinion. It'd be great to have that, because I know Jason personally, and he does very, very wonderful job with clients and can get things done in a timely manner, especially with the trade regulations and stuff that are going on. They've got that down. They're very, very good. What else is going to happen this year, Dawn? Job gains will bring more home buyers into the market, and I think the rental increases as these tenants go through another rent hike. They're going to come into the housing market to buy. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I've got a lot of people that are getting ready to list by the end of this month, probably about 6 people coming in. I think that the market's starting out stronger this year than last year even. So
Yeah, so and we talked about last week. Now this is the year 2016 of all the years is poised to be the best year to sell your house if you're thinking of selling your home. So, student loan debt, number 5. Student loan debt will keep many millennials out of the market, stuck in the rental cycle. Jason, is that because of the FHA rule that they're going to include something?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's an area that we used to defer those. So in other words, if your student loans were deferred, you're still in school. It goes out over a projected amount of time, right? Now, no matter what, we have to use a percentage of it, depending on the loan program, as a liability against you. And when you have tuition and schooling costs that continue to go up, I commonly see student loan debt of $100, $200, even $300,000, and that's a big X-nay against you as far as a debt to income. What we're counting against you as far as a debt on a monthly basis.
Wow.
That is very it's unfortunate. However, these programs I'm talking about, you can use parents to co-sign, not just FHA. We're talking, conventional loans. So there is counter to that. So don't be afraid to at least look into it if, you don't want to pay that high rent.
Yeah, and I came out of college with some student loan debt, not near that amount, but here's something to think about, folks. If your kids are in school, or your grandkids are in school, or you're in school, you're living the high life. You're young. You don't care. You're like, whatever. I'm not working now. I can sign off on whatever I want, and I'll pay it later. When it gets to be $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, I think someone got to put the brakes on there somewhere before it gets to that point and say, hey, what are the ramifications of this? And you do know that this has to be paid back. And when you're paying back that kind of money, if you get a job that pays $50,000, you're not going to be able to pay half of it off in the first year. You're only going to keep $30,000 of that $50,000 because of taxes and whatnot. And then you got to have your living expenses. You're lucky to pay off a small portion of it. So just Dave Ramsey talks about it all the time, but be very cautious about the debt that you incur with the student loans. Another thing they say in here is that foreclosures are going to be coming back a little bit. We're going to have an increase in some foreclosures here for a little bit in 2016, which could be cleanup time for the stuff that happened, that all the loans that didn't get dealt with in the downturn. It slipped through the cracks, or the homeowners were using the legal system to kind of buy some time. I think they're finally going to clean all that, get all that pushed through the cycle and through the system in the foreclosure market. But anything else that we predict? I predict 2016 will be a great year for builders. We have some projects going on that'll be great. Anything else you guys think for 2016?
Yeah, that's an area that we're really targeting. Envoy Mortgage, just in general, is new construction. Certainly, the more price pointed bucket. And you deal with it all the time, but it seems like recently, last year there was a lot of upper end construction, and I think now we're starting to kind of see the more price pointed, middle of the road. Right?
Yes, we're doing a project in Minneapolis for homes around 300,000, all brand new, done, 300,000. And Roseville project, there'll be about 360,000. Richfield, brand new, 275,000. Bloomington, 300,000, brand new. So you're starting to see those come into a range where affordable. They're actually an affordable category for someone to buy brand new. Whereas before, like, in the 12, 13, 14, huge run on the 8, 9 million and up properties. Tons of those being built. But now with rates going up, that'll slow down faster, I think, than the more price-sensitive markets for 300 and under, or say 400 and under, let's say, for that market. But
one thing that is going to impact, too, that I wanted to mention is property taxes. Just Minnesota in general are going up pretty substantial this year.
Well, mine only went up 23%. What are you talking about?
Only 23%. That has a lot more effect than 0.25% on an interest rate. But yeah, it just depends on the community that you're in. But the school levies and all sorts of spending are driving them up. But I've heard some pretty high numbers depending on.
Yeah, mine went up 23%. A lot of people's are going up pretty dramatically. A lot of it is school levies, which are necessary in many cases. The state does have a surplus of a lot of money, so maybe they'll use that to ease the property tax burden. I don't know. Doubtful, right, Jason?
I'm hearing the otherwise.
I'm hearing silence. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. One thing about taxes I want to read from Elliot Eisenberg since we're on that subject. Tiny taxes is what he says. So, folks, you probably finished your 2015. You dealt with your taxes. You looked at it, you're like, I got to pay taxes. Here's what Elliot Eisenberg says. This puts it into perspective. He said that in 2014, federal, state, and local government tax collections totaled 26% of U.S. GDP. The average rate across the 34 most highly developed nations is 34.4%. The U.S. was the fourth lowest in the level of taxation. The U.S. is only ahead of South Korea, Chile, Mexico. And the highest taxation is Denmark at 47%. He said, life isn't very taxing here. Something to think about, folks, even though I feel we're very taxed. But we'll be back with more on the Stockwell Roche Show.